There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, neither do I.
1, 2, 3, set, go!
Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Power Chord Hour podcast. Hope you're doing well out there. I'm your host, Anthony Merchant, and it is good to be back. I hope you enjoyed the last 2 weeks' throwback episodes with CJ Ramone and Mark McMillan. And if you've not heard those, go on back there in the podcast feed. And, I wanted to leave you with something, obviously not new, but hopefully new to you. You know, those were originally just aired on the radio show. That was pre-podcast, so probably are new to you. But, while I was gone, I know before in the June rundown episode, I think it was, I mentioned that maybe I would try to record some podcasts in the back of my car, like while I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway. But I was not thinking of how warm it could be in your vehicle in July up there. So I ended up never doing any episodes, from live from the back of my car or anything like that. It was just too damn hot. But I did have a good time. I was gone for a couple weeks, and obviously I realize that I am traveling in the middle of a pandemic, so things did change a lot on me, and but that was okay. I did it all for a couple places I ended up skipping because they were kind of hotbeds for Corona and whatnot. But I mean, really, for me, altogether I was gone for like 2 weeks. And I stayed pretty socially distant. I mean, I really, really never went anywhere with tons of people. Me and my buddy did get to go hit the Outer Banks, which was quite fun. And but even that, the beaches weren't, at least the ones we were on. There could have been ones, and we just didn't see them. But like the dunes and some of the different things that we hit, it really wasn't like the beaches that you see on the news, where like full of people and stuff. Because I'm staying away from that. I went out and I hike and kind of get some outdoor stuff in, but I'm definitely still someone where I'm like, yeah, I'm not really like as much as I love live music. It's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't go to a show right now, even if there was one like going on around me. It's like, yeah, I don't know that I want to be in a like crowded, packed room with people right now. But Outer Banks was very, very rad. That was the first time I'd been there in 10 years, and I had a much more fun time this time. The last time I went was like out of season, and it was okay, but it wasn't all that great. And then, so I was kind of always indifferent about Outer Banks. I'm like, I don't know, it was okay the first time. And then I went this time. I had a blast with my buddy, and I'm sure it also helps that you've been stuck in the house for so long that it's like to go actually hang out with a friend, and to like get outside somewhere that's like outside a 30-mile radius of where you live was definitely nice. And but I did spend the bulk of my time on the Blue Ridge Parkway. That is just gorgeous. I mean, if you don't know what the Blue Ridge Parkway is, just Google it right now and just go hit images, and you will see. I mean, it's some of the most scenic views, including on the East Coast. It's probably the most scenic part of the East Coast, because the thing that always bums me out is like on the West Coast you have the Pacific Coast Highway and Highway 1, and you have these like scenic drives where you're like right on the ocean. And it's just really unreal. And we really don't have that on the East Coast. Not one that runs all the way down the East Coast. And, there's like different things. I mean, they're kind of scattered, but there's not like that one, like scenic highway or anything like that, which I wish we did have. But Blue Ridge Parkway, definitely like the prettiest section of the East Coast, I would say. And I did recently learn, I'm saying this wrong, but I think everyone I've ever talked to, at least in Western New York, we say Appalachian, I should say, not Appalachian. But I was told the other day that that's not how it is actually said, and I can't remember how it's supposed to be said, but it was so weird that I almost didn't believe the person until I was watching a documentary a couple days ago, and someone from West Virginia was pronouncing it, and they pronounced it the way that person was telling me was the correct way to pronounce it, which I thought was almost bullshit. I'm like, no, there's no way it's pronounced like that. But I'll be damned, it is pronounced that way. I cannot remember what it is, but apparently is not Appalachian. But anyways, the Appalachian Trail, as I will continue to call it, I did do a section of that, or a couple sections really, while I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I didn't even really research it. You can just the nice thing is you can do parts of that trail. They're just really just on like pull offs and stuff. Like you can pull off on the side of like I mean there'll be like a sign and it's like there's like a scenic, you know, like a scenic view, but it's like the trail will also like run through there. So you just kind of park your car there and get out, throw your backpack on, and all of a sudden you're on the Appalachian Trail. And I got some amazing views. Very, very cool. I always hear people talk about it. A very underrated though one, I would say. Everyone talks about Appalachian Trail, but the North Country not the North Country Parkway, the North Country Trail, which goes from Vermont to North Dakota, is it's basically like the same idea, just instead of going East Coast, it goes from East Coast and then into the Midwest, or I guess Midwest and East Coast, depending on where you start it. But I've done that in I've done it in Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, and Pennsylvania. And that is just gorgeous. And that really highlights some really nice, like what I like about that is that it goes through states where you may not think about like how beautiful they may be or like some of the forestry that they might have. But like it goes through some really nice parts. The highlight has to be the North Shore of Minnesota or of Lake Superior in Minnesota. But originally the Superior Hiking Trail, I think the last year or two, the North Country Trail got integrated with it. But I mean, it has to be the prettiest part of it. If you've never been to northern Minnesota, all I can say is that whatever you think that Minnesota looks like, or like your stereotypical idea of like the Midwest of like cornfields and all that, couldn't be further from the truth. Like this thing, like northern Minnesota looks more like the Pacific Northwest to me than it does like the rest of Minnesota. I mean, I love all of Minnesota, but it's a great state. But I mean, really, northern Minnesota, the North Shore, the the upper waters and all that are just really, it's like a whole nother world up there. I mean, and it's one of the prettiest parts of the country, I would say, and one of the best parts too, because to be quite honest, it's a pretty well kept secret. Because like, I mean, I lived there last year in 2019 and a little bit of 2018. And I had never heard of the North Shore. I never knew about that part of Minnesota. I'd moved to Minneapolis, and I mean, beautiful, the best park systems in any city. I can tell you that. And from not living there now for a little while, I being deprived really of just all those amazing parks. Like you don't realize until you're not there. It's like, yeah, most places don't have the amount of like city parks and like nice city parks that St. Paul and Minneapolis have. I mean, it's truly insane. Like Minnehaha Falls in St. Paul, like. You don't think about it, but it's like I would bring people there who would come visit me, and I'm like, there's a goddamn waterfall basically like downtown or like 10 minutes from downtown. It's like there's not many cities that have these things, and then also like free to the public and stuff. I mean, just amazing. But yeah, so I mean that has another one, North Country Trail, an amazing one. But getting to do a part of the Appalachian was very, very nice. That was cool. Blue Ridge was amazing. And yeah, I mean, I did a lot of outdoors things. I will say I did hit 2 record stores. I could not help myself. I did end up at I did hit up Great Escape in Nashville and Magnolia Thunderpussy in Columbus coming back. Shout out to my buddy David Gello of 19 Cent Zine from a few episodes back. I went and said hello to him in Columbus on the way back. It was very nice. Like I said, my trip just kind of kept changing. So, I was supposed to spend more time with David, but just like a 4-hour trip through Columbus on the way back home with him. And it was just really fun because I tried going to Magnolia Thunderpussy like 6 years ago. It was the only time I've ever been in Columbus was 6 years ago. I won tickets to Hit the Lights for their 10th anniversary for Skip School Start Fights. And I don't even live that close to Columbus, but I'm like, Absolute Punk gave me free tickets. It was a Sunday. I'm like, I ain't doing shit. Like, I'll go do that. So I drove out there, and I was heartbroken because I really wanted to go to Magnolia Thunderpussy. Everything I looked up online, everyone was saying that was the one to go to. And I hit up the person you always have to hit up before you go to a city for record stores, JT, the singer of Hawthorne Heights. I hit him up. I'm like, where do I go in Columbus? That was the first place. He's like, dude, that's right up your alley. That's the record store for you. But anyways, like I said, it was a Sunday, and if you're getting where the story's going, the record store was not open. And sadly, my heart was broken. I was ready to go. I had some money burning in my pocket, and I wanted to go make dumb decisions and spend too much money on records. I could not do that. But 6 years later, my buddy David, he did it right for me. He drove me there, got me in. And I ended up getting some good stuff. Got a Bad Brain shirt. Got Magnolia Thunderpussy shirt. Got James Brown's Greatest Hits. I think I got 1 or 2 cassettes there too. I don't remember. I had a couple other like just little random things. I'm always these days I used to like go crazy on vinyl, and these days I like to go in and I'll normally go find like the clearance bin for like CDs and stuff, or like nice cheap cassettes too, because I'll collect cassettes, but I'm not paying $15 for a cassette. Like if I see a cool one that's like $5, I'm definitely gonna grab it, but I'm not one of those people like, I think it's so dumb to spend like $20-$30 on like even like a rare cassette, unless it's like the only one I've ever, as I'm saying that, and I'm gonna contradict myself, I think the only one I ever bought was the replacements, the Shit Hits the Fans, and I did get that for like $20-$25. But if you know anything about that, and it was an actual pressing too, not a bootleg, that's cheap for that. That is actually really cheap, and those are very rare. So I mean, in a case like that, I'm cool, but I've seen like bands put out, cassettes like present day, and a lot of them normally put them out as like kind of a funny gimmicky thing for like $8, and I'm cool with that. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. You normally get a download code, but I've seen other ones that were like $25. I think like Blink-182's last album, like 9. I think I've seen that in record stores on cassette, and it's like $20 or $25, and I'm like, why? Just what? Like why? Come on, man. But no, I found I found the good used bins in Magnolia. Great Escape in Nashville, the other one I hit up. I did get some goodies there. There's another one I rated their dollar bins. Got some great records. I scored this really rad double Motown compilation record for like, I don't know, like $2 that, most of the songs have, who I brought up on here a couple times, James Jamerson, like one of the all-time greatest electric bass players of all time, like hands down. And so that was cool to get that for like, I don't know, like $1 or $2. That's someone like, I swear his bass playing, you just sit there and it's like, the songs are amazing anyways, but it's like, you can just listen to his bass lines. Like what he's doing underneath these songs is just insane. So that was a cool one to get there. While on the subject too, something very, very rad that I want to help spread the word on, and I want to help get it funded. There is a GoFundMe right now for this amazing headstone for James Jamerson. He is buried in Detroit. If you don't know who he was one of the Funk Brothers, played bass on like almost every Motown hit that you've heard, like insane amounts of songs. Like he's basically played on more like top 40 hits than like Elvis or the Beatles or like anybody else basically in history, yet really doesn't get much credit, nor do the rest of the Funk Brothers. But, this is kind of a way to commemorate them, kind of later on, and including James, one who I think kind of posthumously has gotten, as well-deserved, a cult status as, one of the greatest bass players of all time, and, a huge influence on people. His bass playing, I don't care what you listen to. He played all those Motown hits, but I don't care what genre you're listening to. If there's electric bass in it, like, chances are the person playing bass is probably ripping off James Jamerson somehow. Like, he basically invented the way that electric bass is played, including in like popular music and mainstream music. So, if you wanna go support that, I'll put a link in the little, I don't know, whatever the hell it is, our show notes. I'll put a link to the GoFundMe there. And if you want to throw some money their way, I believe they've been at it a while, and I think they're just towards the end now. I think they need about another, like, I think it was $2,000, but that was also a week or so ago, and I know they've gotten some donations. So at this point, they may need even less than that. So you could help make that a reality, and it would be very, very cool. It's a great looking headstone. If you go on there, there's like the design or the layout, and it looks awesome. There's a bronze bass, his signature Fender P bass on there that he always played. That's up on there. Nice picture of him. And, just really acknowledges him and the legend that he truly was. So I wanted to get the word out on that. I thought that was very rad. And, someone who should get more recognition. But, I think from the help from fans and stuff can kind of help him get there. So go check that out. But yeah, grab that. And outside that, I grabbed some really good, I got to say, that Great Escape in Nashville. They had one of the best like cassette selections I've seen in quite a while. And actually very reasonably priced too, I gotta say. Like really reasonably priced. I got quite a few cassettes, but the best one had to be, I got this really rad Rancid and Out Come the Wolves promo cassette. It has like 3 or 4 songs off of it. I'd never seen it before. I grabbed it for like $5 and I looked it up online. It's actually kind of, speaking of like $30 cassettes, it's like, it goes for like $30-$35 I think on eBay. I'm like, oh hell yeah, like I scored it for like $5. But got that, got a couple Lemonhead CDs I'd never seen before from like the mid 90s. kind of during their major label stint, like a couple like promo things and like some interview stuff. None of them bootlegs though, like official things I'd just never seen before. And yeah, scored a couple things. I gotta say, it was nice to go to a record store for the first time that was probably the first time this year. I mean, even pre-pandemic, I don't think I got to one yet this year at all. So first time in months and months and months. It was nice, but I mean, outside of those two record stores, that was about the most like, quote on like being in a building with other people, which neither of them were super busy anyways. But yeah, I mean that was kind of the extent of that. Outside of that, it was lots and lots of hiking, which I have no problem with. I love that. It was a lot of being socially distant, up in the mountains or on sand dunes, and it was definitely a good time. But I am happy to be back here with you, and thought we would come back strong and with a guest. Wanted to have a nice fun one for you. So today we're going to be talking to Eben Wares of Yellowbird Mantra, and it's funny. I mentioned it to him. This is like an interview 2 years in the making. I was supposed to interview him when Yellowbird put out their first release 2 years ago, New England Weather, which you should definitely go check out. And I ended up like, it came out just when I was going on a cross country trip, and I was gone for like 4 months, and just a bunch of and then I got back, and then kind of you have to catch up with life after 4 months and whatnot, and then I think it just kind of fell by the wayside and never happened. But I'm very happy we got to do this. Eben was awesome to talk to. I had a lot of fun talking to him. So enough blabbering. We're going to get into it right now. Here's my interview with Eben Wares of Yellowbird Mantra right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. Right now on the Power Chord Hour, we're talking to musician Eben Wares of Yellowbird Mantra. He's releasing a new EP called New England Summer on TDR Records, and outside Yellowbird Mantra, Eben has been a member of the band Move Out West. He has written for other artists. We have a ton to talk about, lots about music, so we're going to get right into it. Eben, man, how are you?
Hey, man, what's going on? How are you?
Doing well, and I've been enjoying the new EP. This is, I guess by the time this comes out, it should be out by the time this is released, but the new EP is New England Summer, and this is your second release. I know you put out another full-length on a TDR a few years back. How did you originally get hooked up with Mike over there at TDR? How did that relationship begin?
I met Mike in 2008, I think. It was like a long time ago, and I was introduced to TDR through a friend who was in a band called Punchline, and they were familiar with TDR. And when I was in high school, I was in a different band before Move Out West. I sent out press whatever they are to all the different labels, and it's kind of funny. I met Mike because I was like working the lines of a show, in Hartford, my hometown. I was handing out flyers to promote, my band and our upcoming show, and then I met Mike, but I didn't know Mike was TDR Records pretty much. He's on the ground. He's the
he's the face of it basically.
Yeah. So I met him, and I was like being a smart ass, and I was like, "Oh, you work for TDR Records?" I mailed my EP to them, and no one got back to me. He goes, "What's your band called?" And I was like, "Play It Back." And he goes, "I got back to you." And I was like, "Oh shit, maybe he did." I just don't remember. So that was the first introduction with Mike. We got along really well, and we actually had a good laugh about it. And I think it was later. We just kind of kept in touch. I ended up doing a Warped Tour, working for one of his bands, and I ended up in a van with Mike, and we became good friends since then. We've always kept in touch. So it's a long friendship. It's kind of hard to think about when it started. No,
it's
been that long.
That's pretty cool. He's always a good dude, great label, and also I know you mentioned Punchline earlier, another great band. So that's kind of cool. So you've been talking to him then for years prior to doing Yellowbird Mantra. Then you've known Mike.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do something with his label or help it in some sort of capacity or do a release for it. So it was like doing a full length for Yellowbird, the first one, was a huge bucket list thing for me. I've been in a lot of bands, but I've never got to do a real full length. So it's really cool when I teamed up with Mike and I asked him if he would be interested in releasing something like that. And he said yes. And it kind of, because he said yes, it made me actually follow through on it, I would say.
Oh, was he good at that, kind of like pushing you to like, did you actually, that's a good question too. Did you have a full length written when you were in talks with him, or did that kind of after you were talking about him releasing something, then you kind of started writing?
Yeah, no, I had like 3 songs written.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have a full length to start out with. You were still
No.
kind of getting it started.
Yeah, I told him I'd have it done by this date. And then he was just really good at, understanding that I had another career in writing, and I didn't want to get burnt out. But he was also great at like staying on top of me and helping me stay inspired for it.
Yeah, I mean, is that stressful trying to write in that amount of time? Or I mean, and I know I kind of mentioned earlier, I definitely want to get into it more. Like, I know you do write for other people, so I'm sure to some degree you probably are used to deadlines. But I mean, was that stressful at all, trying to get a full length out in a set amount of time like that?
No, I don't think so. I picked a good time to do it. I started like diving into it really hard over one Christmas, where I decided not to go back to Connecticut, where I'm from. I stayed in LA. And so I just was able to put like 2.5, 3 weeks aside to kind of try to really get the guts of it going. And that way I ended up finishing it up, I think, in February, but that was just kind of like minor mixed details. And I think we randomly got like an awesome studio. But no, I kind of planned around. I think I made the call over like Thanksgiving break when I had like the 3 songs. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to start kind of writing here and there. And then hopefully I can get like really into recording over Christmas when there's nothing really else going on in LA.
And then, like, I mean, timeline wise too, like when was Yellowbird Mantra started? Like, what year was that when you kind of had like the first 3 songs and, we're kind of getting ready to gear up?
It's actually kind of funny. I thought of the band name in 2013 when I was driving across country the first time for LA from Hartford. When I moved to LA, it was 2013, I think. And I had just kind of broken up with my band, taking a hiatus at least. I think we still say we're on hiatus. but but I was driving across and I was trying to think of like, what would a cool new project sound like? And I just had the I'm Wide Awake It's Morning by Bright Eyes, like all through Nebraska playing. And I
Nice.
thought of the band name Yellowbird. And I called my friend. He was like, you should add mantra on the end of it. I'm like, yeah, I should. You're right.
It does roll off the tongue well. It does work very well. Sometimes people can have names that just, I feel like, are regrettable later on. I feel like this is one that will last. This isn't one that's like you'll cringe at years later. I like Yellowbird Mantra. I think it fits.
Thanks. I feel the same. I feel that way about the music too. I kind of I do it when I can and when I'm really in the zone with it, and I don't want to get burnt out by it ever. So I like that the name feels that way, and I hope that every time I release something years later, I don't cringe at it.
That's always nice to look back at your body of work and not cringe. That's always pretty nice. But
I've never been able to do that, so this would be a cool bit. Yeah. I think a lot of people would kind of say that occasionally, though.
No, I think that's true. I mean, it's the same thing with the name. I mean, I've interviewed tons of people who I'm sure they tell you if they had a time machine, they would go back to like, being 19 or 20 and be like, please don't name the band this. Like you're gonna be doing this in another 15 years, and you really don't want to be called, like whatever we think is cool at that age.
Yeah, I like there's a tweet that like Jimmy Eat World sent out. They were like, kids, think of your band's acronym before you start it, and then Saves the Day replied, amen.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, those two have to be the most unfortunate acronyms in the music scene.
Yeah, they're up there. But yeah, so that's kind of when I had the idea, and then I actually probably recorded songs for it since 2013. But they just, I don't know, I was never happy enough. I've been very selective.
Was the idea always to do kind of a solo thing, or I mean, was it kind of up in the air when you thought of the name, or like right away did you know, even when you came up with it, you're like, this is just kind of like a solo project basically?
I hate the idea of doing a solo project, so I actually like to consider Yellowbird Mantra Eben and his friends.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of it's like I mean, that's not the official thing, but like every album is just kind of the same 3 to 4 songwriter, producers, engineers, that are willing to help me, whether it be in the writing process, the recording process, or the instrumental process. It's always the same, like 3 or 4 people, really.
Oh, okay, nice. And I mean, throughout the years, I mean, have you show-wise, like, have you played many shows with the band or no?
Yeah, I wouldn't say many, but we always, whenever we get like a good bite, we did Echo Park Rising a few years back in LA, and that was probably my favorite show we did. And then we did like CD release shows. We definitely played around, um, flirting with the idea of doing it a lot,
Playing
kind of feeling it out.
I hear you. I hear you with that, and including I'm sure you'll probably get that bug too once you're able to go out and play again. I'm sure with being able to do that even again when that becomes a thing, it's like, well, that would be nice to do again. I'm sure you'll kind of feel reinvigorated, if you will, to go out and play more.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I was in a band, and we did quite a few shows, and I don't discredit the idea of playing everywhere always. I think it's a great idea for exposure and stuff. I just thought with Yellowbird, I'd be a little bit more selective, make sure I didn't get burnt out. And I think the last show I played, I knew it was time to write some new songs. I was in New York and I got really bored on stage, so I was like, time to probably write a new album. And that's when I started to do it. And yeah, I definitely like being selective on the shows and the stuff as I get older. And it's nothing. It's not like an opinion of how I think it should happen. And it's not selling the band short either. I just really don't want to get. It's a process. It's expensive. It's a thing. You got to like do the whole bit, especially when you're not in a band, because everyone has to relearn everything. And I don't really like playing solo too much. So I definitely am interested in playing more live, but we weren't doing it a ton.
For for doing this, has your songwriting changed a lot from being like doing something like Yellowbird Mantra versus when you're doing like the full band thing? Like, did your songwriting change at all, or no? Are you basically writing the same way you would have in Move Out West?
Well, it's definitely changed a lot. Also, I have a joke, like whenever we play live, I call it Blackbird Mantra because it gets a lot heavier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very
But it's
nice.
like, I think it still does the songs well, but we got a full drummer, lead guitar, bass, and then me on acoustic and sometimes the piano.
Do you have like
So
for that other guitar, like are they just playing clean electric?
no, they're going hard.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I guess
It's
you did
normally
say
like
Blackbird
delay,
Mantra.
lead. Yeah, it's like delay, lead, kind of stuff. Very atmospheric, and then like strum outs for like build-ups. Yeah, I mean, there are some leads on the album, but they're just not very prominent, so they just kind of take them and jack them up.
I like that. That kind of sounds like too. Then would you say, like, when you guys are kind of getting ready, like when you have played shows, like do you go in and kind of add things that maybe weren't on the record? It sounds like maybe you do that, like some bands do, where it's like we're not playing it straight like it is on the record. We're kind of, it kind of takes a different life when we're playing it live. It's not supposed to sound like it's straight up off the record.
It does, and then like the guys who are in the band are the same like 3 to 4 guys that helped me through the whole process, so they already do kind of know the song. That's why it feels more like a band. The guy who he wrote at least 3 songs on New England Weather was on lead guitar and doing harmonies, and one show he played drums. So they'll kind of like recycle and like kind of, I got the same group of people, and luckily they know the songs well enough, and since they're all super talented, I kind of tell them like they sometimes they get frustrated. They're like, the drummer will be like, well, what should I do here? There's no drums. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a drummer. You figure it out, man. Do something cool. And I think that they get frustrated at first, and then they end up loving it because there's so much creative control.
That's
with the
kind
live
of
stuff.
neat. Yeah, then you kind of get their take on it too. They're kind of adding their own, like fingerprints to what you were doing, originally. I like that.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to do like a live performance in a room for a stream or something to see like the different sides of the songs.
Yeah, I want to. You really interest me, and I think people listening to this, including we'll play some Yellowbird Mantra after the interview and everything. But hearing that, and then hearing kind of your description of the live show, really is it has me like interested. Because I'm like, oh, I want to hear this like live. It sounds like there's like, I don't know, like different things added to it, and the Blackbird Mantra. I gotta hear it heavy.
I don't think I've ever said that to many people, but yeah, that's kind of like the joke.
I like that. For the new EP, New England Summer, when was this recorded? Like when did you record these? Was this just like sporadically recorded? Did you record it like within a week? How did you end up doing this EP?
So I have I have another EP coming out hopefully by the fall, and and that's gonna. This is kind of like I wouldn't call it necessarily like a B-sides to New England Weather, but two of the songs, I think two of them. Yeah, two of them are B-sides to New England Weather. And then the other two are songs that I sat down to write a new album, and they just sounded so much like the old stuff that I was like, okay, this is what I don't really want to do part two, like in a full, I'm okay with having songs here and there, but it just started to sound a lot like the old stuff. So I kind of shelved them, and then I sat like writing for a little while, and just like, I don't know, I kind of went back to my old style of writing for other people, and just kind of sat and like listened, got some ideas of what I thought would sound cool, and I went back to the drawing board, and now I'm almost done with that album. I think I have all the songs picked out, so it'll be in the mixing process pretty shortly. So hopefully that'll be out in the fall, like late fall.
Nice.
But I just sat with these songs and for so long, I sent them to a friend, and he was just like, these 4 songs are really they're kind of nice. I think you should put these out still. So I figured since right now a lot of people just kind of sitting around and could maybe use something to listen to.
Oh, absolutely. And were these? I know you're in LA. Were these recorded in LA?
Yeah, they're all done in LA. But as far as timeline goes, yeah, 2 were before New England Weather and 2 were after.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of like all spread out. I think one was really early on, and then the last one I did was finished up in late 2000 or mid 2019. I did it. So that was when I kind of was like, I should probably refocus.
And what about
stuff.
for New England, the full length New England Weather? Like, when was that? I know it was released 2018. Was that also recorded in 2018?
That was like 2017 to 2018, I would say.
Oh, okay. It's funny. I had totally forgotten when that record came out. We were actually supposed to do an interview, and then Mike was hitting me up, and I just thought of it earlier, and then I forget what. I that's it. I went cross country for like 4 months, and then it just never happened. But I was just thinking, yeah,
cool.
that record's been out a while now. I guess it has been 2 years.
Yeah, it has. It's flown by. But yeah, it's been a while, so it's time for something else. But I definitely don't really rush with anything when it comes to New England. When it comes to Yellowbird and New England Weather, I recorded it a little differently. It wasn't just like a standard. You do one song at a time. I didn't do like studio time blackouts. Okay, let's get a bunch of acoustics. Let's get a bunch of stuff like that. It was just always one song at a time.
I like your approach. Honestly, I like your approach to Yellowbird Mantra. I mean, it seems like something where you're not going to just kind of throw something out there just for the sake of releasing music. Like, it sounds like you're like, when I make something that I like, that fits under this name and everything, I'll release it. Like, it doesn't seem like you're like worried about like, oh, I haven't released something in 6 months or a year. I got to do this. Like, I think there's a better quality to that.
I couldn't give 2 fucks about that.
See, I like that. I like that, man, because that's where you get bad records and shit. It's like, if you just, for the sake of doing it, you know what I mean? Like, not every song you write is going to be amazing. That's just, for anyone, that's just the case. And it's like, to just throw everything at a wall and see what sticks, I don't think is the way to do it. So I kind of like that. Would you say also then too, I'm kind of getting it, you don't want each record to sound the same. It sounds like you kind of want each record to change it up a bit. You don't want them to just keep repeating themselves and sound like a sequel of one another.
I think I care more about lyrical content being super relevant than anything else. I definitely don't want them to all sound the same, but I don't have a problem with. I like the folk stuff a lot, like the really quiet folk music. So I don't have a problem with always having 1 or 2 of those on the record. I love that, like, kind of vulnerability. But even on this album, I'm trying to like the new one coming out in the fall. The one, it's still like a completely different like attack, I think, at the acoustic vocal thing for me. So I definitely don't want them to all sound the same. But as long as I'm super, super passionate about it, I don't really care what they sound like.
I hear you. I like that. Once again, I think that's the way to go about it. You have to. I think it means you care more. I would feel like you wouldn't care if you were just throwing music out just under the name for the sake of it. But like, for that side, like you were saying, like the kind of quieter songs, kind of more like acoustic, and I mean, definitely too. I feel like your lyrics are definitely a highlight of the band. I feel like your lyrics are like such a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, like it's music or lyrics. I feel like you kind of have both going on, and you kind of have that singer-songwriter for parts of it. I mean, are there any like singer-songwriters that you would say like influence the sound of it? I know earlier, you mentioned like Bright Eyes when you were talking about like coming up with a name. Were there any like specific artists that you say have kind of influenced the sound of Yellowbird Mantra?
Yeah, definitely. I got into Frank Turner a lot.
Oh, nice.
When I started writing Yellowbird, which I was like really late to that. But I thought he not necessarily the sound, but his use of he has very interesting lyrics, and he says very obscure things, I think, and he has a cool sense of melody to it. I've always loved Death Cab, especially their early stuff. I mean, I actually love all their stuff really, but they were a big influence on it too. Even though it's kind of a band for sure, but Death Cab and Bright Eyes were a big thing. It's interesting though. I've never really thought of like influences, like when I'm making music, what does it sound too much like? But it would have to be, the whole Conor Oberst thing would definitely be the thing that's always in the back of my head when I'm listening to music. Yeah.
Well, that kind of goes into what I was going to ask next. I mean, like with you writing for other people, like when you write songs and like do co-writes and all that stuff, like are you trying to write in a different headspace for a different person, or does that fuck things up if you try to, you know what I mean? If you try to write specifically for someone else, like do you just try to just write a song and not think about this is supposed to sound in this person's voice or it sounds too much like mine? Is it just better off to just write the song and worry about that later?
Well, I don't really write too many songs alone anymore, unless they're for Yellowbird, or it's like a start of an idea, especially when I'm doing stuff for other artists. So it's normally like a small group of people. And I'm also rarely singing. There's normally somebody else singing in the room.
Oh, okay. So like when you do that, the music's written totally different than if you're doing like Yellowbird.
Yeah, sometimes it's more similar than other times. Sometimes Yellowbird will be, me and a buddy writing a song together. And sometimes, some people that I write for Pitch with were also on the Yellowbird album. They're just like good friends. But I think I still, it's kind of funny. Sometimes you do have artists that, are like looking for songs and you try to write for them. But I think the best way to always do it is just kind of write, everyone in the room just kind of try to write a great song. And the thing I try to bring to the table normally is, some lyrics and melody. And whenever you try to get in somebody else's head, it kind of backfires, because I think at the end of the day, most people don't really want to sound like their last song. So.
No, I think I've obviously never done anything like that, but I could see where that could definitely be a pitfall if you overthink it too much or try to go, I'm going to try to emulate this or make it sound like, make it sound a certain way. And I mean, like how, like, it's such an interesting thing to me. Like, how did you kind of get into that world of like doing co-writing and whatnot? Like, how did you get your foot in that?
It was just an accident. I was, I was out in LA after my band, and I was trying to write stuff, and, I was just lucky enough to meet a lot of really cool people when I was touring from 2009 to 2013, and a good amount of those people that I met are the people that I'm still close with today, and they're out in LA. So I was lucky to call a friend who helped me out and set up a session, who something good came of it. And I kind of think it's one of those things when I was in LA for like 2 years doing aimless writing sessions that amounted to absolutely nothing, and then finally one of them just worked out. So it was pretty lucky.
That's pretty neat. Who was the first artist that you like helped co-write for?
Justin Bieber.
Oh shit, that was your first?
Yeah.
That is pretty neat, man. That is not a bad one to start with. Jeez.
That's why I say it's just like a lot of luck, preparation, meeting opportunity, or whatever the hell they call it. Some bullshit like that.
And then you have what was it? You co-wrote a song, correct? For one of his records?
Yeah, for his album Purpose.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is not a that's not a bad credit to have. But really, like, I was looking on there, I like it because I feel like you have range. Like you have Justin Bieber, but then you have like I thought I saw Set It Off on there. I saw some like other, but like you have like bands and different things. Then you also have like kind of artists, like solo artists and whatnot. It's neat. It seems like you don't like just write for just one certain kind of artist.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I do. And yeah, I think a lot of it just comes from like the background and being lucky enough to listen to rock bands that had great melody when I was a kid. Like that was what the 90s kind of were. So you can write pop music if you listen to a lot of, I don't know, it's just all kind of falls into one for me. And I just try to bring some cool outside, maybe some left field lyrics to each one of the sessions. And yeah, I think it's kind of funny. I've done EDM music, which is my favorite one.
Oh,
like
nice.
I love like this DJ Artie, and I really love that the lyrics in that song are pretty fun, pretty uplifting stuff I don't normally write.
This is I mean like that's the other thing is I mean I assume you're jumping into genres that you've never really written before. Like had you ever tried like doing like EDM stuff before? Like I feel like this is kind of a thing that throws you into like different genres and stuff that otherwise you would probably never even try writing in.
Well, that's kind of what's cool about those first 2 years where there was no success, where I was able to like go into these sessions and kind of learn how everything. My whole goal was to be like when I first came to LA and I did songwriting sessions, I just wanted to be a sponge because I was kind of aware that like I wasn't, one of the first sessions somebody just told me, they're like, listen, you're using the same 4 notes in every fucking song, but there's a lot more notes in the scale. Like and you just try to like listen to people and like you just kind of like. I definitely did a few failed EDM sessions before I did one that worked, and get your practice in. And now I feel like a little bit of a seasoned songwriter who kind of knows how to navigate different things. But I also think like good music is good music, good lyrics are good lyrics that can actually go across the board.
Oh, absolutely on that. So, I think that's one I was just saying, like, I don't remember who was on here, but we were just talking about that on a previous episode where a good song you can basically like if it just starts on acoustic guitars, like you can put it in any genre and it's just a fucking good song. Like it doesn't matter. It's like it no matter what you're playing it on, what you're transposing it on, if those chords and those words and melody work, it really doesn't matter much further out of that. A good song is a good song.
Yeah, and then I think it's I think like the vocalist kind of helps determine the genre, especially if there's just an acoustic guitar going. You have like Bieber's voice versus Chris Stapleton's voice versus somebody else's voice. Is just like kind of determines the genre. So I kind of like the one country song I did write was a pop song pitch. There's no words about trucks or I think I do talk about being wasted though. So
there we go.
Yeah, there's a little country in it.
A little country.
So they just slapped the banjo on it, put a guy singing it who sounded country, and there it is.
That's so, I mean, it's so neat because I don't feel like people think about that. Like when you're like some of these songs where it's like a lot of songs are just kind of written the same and there's really not, I mean, I think you mentioned before, like every song's the same, like 4 chords. Like there's only so many notes out there. I mean, what is there? 12 notes in a chromatic scale. There's only so much you can do. It's like all music is basically just the same. There's really nothing special. You're just kind of, I mean, not that there's nothing special, but the vocalist just kind of changes and stuff. Besides that, I mean, melody and all that just depends what instrument you're playing it on.
Yeah.
But are there any like dream artists that you would like to co-write with or co-write for?
Yeah, Norah Jones would be sick.
Oh, that would be neat. That'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah, I have that one. I have that answer locked up. It's ready.
You really did.
I'm like Norah Jones.
I was wondering if that was one where like you'd have to think like, I don't know, let me think about it. No, you were ready. You gotta write some shit for Norah.
No, I mean even just with her would be cool. Just like even like I don't care if it even came out, just to like get to like hum some melody over her piano and just to hear her voice sing something I wrote. That would be really cool.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah, she helps like kind of get me out of the pop punk bubble, I would say, when I was younger. I don't know.
Was that like the first kind of music that got you into it? I mean, was that like early on to kind of like pique your interest in music? Was it like pop punk? Like really, like we should get into that. Like what really started you? What inspired you in the beginning to even pick up whatever your first instrument was, really?
Yeah, I guess it was it was probably Blink. I played bass first when I was really young. I was in like 6th grade, and I made my dad get me a bass. It's kind of funny. We had like a big lawn, and he used to pay me to cut the lawn every week. And one summer I was like, Dad, will you buy me a bass and I'll cut the lawn for free all spring, summer, and fall? And he was like, yeah, of course. And I did the math like a few years later, and he definitely got the best of me on that. And so yeah, I definitely was like listening to Blink and Green Day and The Offspring and bands like that. And a little younger, I mean, my dad always had Tom Petty on, Eric Clapton, Cream. You know, he liked some of that songwriter rock, I would say. He liked folk and stuff like that. And I always liked, my dad had music on always. But yeah, it was like Blink, definitely like punk bands. And then when I had like older sisters, and the oldest one, she was dating this guy, and she was in college, and I was in 6th grade, and he made me like a mixed CD. So I think in 6th grade, I got educated pretty quick and started listening to Black Flag,
Nice.
Ramones, Sex Pistols. And then on the EP, like it was like a full thing for Christmas he gave me. I had like Rancid, everything from like NoFX, MXPX, 10 Foot Bowl. Like it just went on. Goldfinger,
All the
and,
classics.
all the good stuff. So I was already into a lot of punk and pop punk by like 6th, 7th grade.
Nice.
And yeah, wearing the chains and everything.
You gotta have the look.
Yeah, that was definitely like the thing. And I went to a messed Bayside Punchline show when I was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
And that was like the first like club show I ever went to. And I just remember that was the show that made me go from like, oh, playing guitar is fun, to seeing them do that, being like, I want to do that. You know, like that looked great. Doesn't always. I was at like amphitheater, like huge shows, like saw like the Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte tour when I was in 7th grade.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like that's just like such big production. You know, it's like you never really. I don't know. I was too realistic to think that I could do that. You know, like
it's
that
funny.
seemed insane.
It's so funny that you bring up Punchline, because they were like the first time I ever saw a show in like a dive bar was them. They played the Buffalo Icon, I think it was in like 2007. And
Shit.
Yeah, dude, I saw them with, they opened for Bowling for Soup the year before, and that's how I discovered them. But they were playing like House of Blues in Cleveland, like another one, you know, they're playing a theater. And like by the time like then I got into Punchline and I go see them, and yeah, that was like an eye opener. Like, I mean, now I've seen God knows how many shows in dive bars and shit, but that was like at the time when I was like 14, 15, that was the first show I ever saw in a small place with no barricade or anything. It was Punchline,
Yeah.
and I don't remember all the other whatever bands Punchline would be touring with in 2007. That's who I saw them with. But yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I mean,
I could probably tell you. I went to every Punchline show after this show.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was still a big show. It was Mest, you know, they were headlining, and this is like 2004. So it was still a pretty big show. But yeah, Steve from Punchline was selling CDs out front when I was leaving. And like just the whole experience of like, you know, meeting somebody who was just on the stage, you know, just like that casually, kind of gave me like the real bug to try to be in a band, try to start this thing.
And then look at years later, you were on the same label as Steve.
Yeah.
Some TDR royalty.
Yeah. When I got the Welcome to TDR Records shirt, it was a big moment.
You nice. During this whole pandemic and whatnot, I mean, have you been pretty creative? Have you used the time to write and whatnot?
It's definitely been a battle. I live alone, you know, quarantining, leaving the house when necessary. I definitely go through rough stages and good stages, I think. But it's important not to get discouraged when things are bad. You know, I'm very familiar with writer's block. I think it's just like an excuse to be lazy. So my friend told me once, I don't know if it's necessarily true. I was like, I don't know, man, I'm just having writer's block. He's like, yeah, it's just an excuse to be lazy. And this guy writes like 250 songs a year. So I'm like, yeah, he's probably been right.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. But everyone's mind's a little different. So, you know, yeah, it's been nice. Like, I think during this process, my friends have been, you know, vocal, and they've said like, you've been really productive. Like, you know, good job, keep it up. Because all we can do is really send songs to our friends and our managers right now. And I kind of sort through our ideas because I mean, once upon a time I used to write in my parents' attic, and now for the last 8 years I've had like people around me pretty much at all times while writing, even if they're just sitting on a couch smoking weed. They're still like in the same vicinity with me. I haven't been like left to my left to my own deal with my own brain for weeks at a time, and it's definitely been a challenge to sort through stuff, stay productive, but stay positive and realize everyone's kind of in this together. And right now there's just like nothing more you can do but try to stay positive and stay productive.
Do you ever see yourself, like, I mean, I know you have other people doing Yellowbird with you and whatnot, but like, do you ever see yourself doing like a full band kind of thing again, where like, you know what I mean, like you have like permanent members who like this guy plays this guy plays this, and you all kind of have your role? Like what I like about Yellowbird is even though you have other people, it sounds like you all do different things and kind of like contribute differently. But I mean, could you see yourself, do you like right now have even any interest in like doing like a band again, like you did with like, Move Out West?
Yeah, it's just got to be the perfect people.
That makes sense.
If that makes sense.
No,
yeah.
that does it. And I'm sure too, I mean, it's even though you have other people in Yellowbird, I'm sure it's still a little easier than like writing with a full band, where you probably have more, I would say, more people like adding their opinions to what you're writing and whatnot.
Yeah, it's also easier because I don't have to kick anybody out. I just stop calling them, So, no, I'm kidding. But it's also like, it's like one writing session will be with one person. The next writing session will be there's never like too many cooks in the kitchen. So it's just more of like I kind of go with whoever I feel like, I don't know, has the time a little bit to deal with me. But this new EP that's coming out in the fall will be like, I think, completely produced by me, and most of the songs completely written by just me, and not because of the quarantine. I actually started working on it a little before that, and that was always the plan. So I wanted to push my production and see what I could come up with. So this will be a little bit more writing wise, just me, but the band will probably be the same if we ever perform ever again.
Very nice. Outside of writing your own music, you've been listening to anything good during quarantine?
I mean, Puma Blue is really cool. It's like this singer-songwriter. I don't know where he's from. I know it's Europe. Saw him once, and he had a fun accent. But I was really drunk. I don't remember where it was. But I can't remember where he's from. But he's really great. Yeah, it's like lo-fi jazz. It's really soothing. It's really not invasive. I find it really good to listen to when I need to decompress.
It's good chill music.
Yeah, I like him a lot. It's good nighttime music, or daytime, whatever. Really, it's good smoking weed music. I'll say that out loud. And there's this band Mapache I've been listening to. They're from LA. They're really great. I think I'm saying it wrong though. Mapache. I think that's how you say it.
Is it one word?
It's one word. It's M-A-P. Oh God, I can't even spell it now too. And yeah, Mapache is how you say it. Spotify will help you figure it out. But they just released their debut full length like back in February. It's really great. I really like it a lot. They're like kind of the act I'm most excited to see where they go, because they're pretty young still, I think.
Oh, nice. So they're a newer band then.
Yeah, they're I don't know how old they are. They keep it, but I've seen them live twice now, and they have like a really cool, unique, organic setup where one guy's like a lefty and one guy's a righty, both like on acoustic guitars, sharing a microphone with like, I don't know, it just like looks cool and classic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they're like a folk Cali country kind of band. So, but they're definitely like got like a little emo to them, a little Bright Eyes-esque. So I like their lyrics a lot. They're great.
Oh, very cool. People, if they're looking for some music, go check out both those bands. And as we close this up here, where can people find you? As far as your social media shit online, where can they get New England summer? Where can they get New England weather? All that stuff. Where do people stay connected with you?
It's all, I have no idea.
The internet. Find it on the internet.
Yeah, no, I don't use a ton of social media. I know it's always all on Spotify. I think it's just always everywhere music is. Mike does a great job with that. Uh, New England Summer will be out July 24th, I believe. Yeah, so it'll be available on every platform. Um, Instagram is at Yellowbird Mantra. Twitter is at I don't know. Don't Twitter's whatever. It's at YB Mantra, I think. But yeah, I try to stay up with the Instagram as well as Mike, and then I have my own personal Instagram. I talk mostly about Yellowbird Mantra as well, which is at Eben Has Feelings.
Very nice. Yeah, people go follow him. Check out the new music. We're gonna play some stuff right now. We'll play some things off the EP as well as the full length. And we'll kick it off right now with the opener off New England Summer. Right now, here is Beverly right here on the Power Chord Hour. Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. That was Yellowbird Mantra with Dude Smokes a Ton of Weed. Before that was Yellowbird with Hawks Do Not Share. And opening up that block of music was Beverly, opening up their brand new EP, New England Summer, that is out on TDR Records, as well as New England Weather, also out on TDR Records. That is their full length from 2018. So you got some stuff to go look up if you enjoyed that. Definitely go grab Ebens' music. Very, very talented guy. Had a blast talking to him. So, and go find him on social media. Go find his music. Go support TDR Records, Mike Hollins. Give it a little shout out to him. One of the best out there. One of my favorite record labels. He just always does it right. One of the best guys. And, I mean, you can hear it. Eben's not the first TDR Records artist that I've interviewed. And anytime you go listen to them, we at some point talk about what a good guy Mike Hollins is, which is a good sign from the artist because it means that, you know, he's not like fucking over his bands, because they all have nothing but nice things to say about Mike as well as me. So it's like, that's a good sign from a label that, you know, no one's really, I've never heard any shit talking on the guy. So that's always a good sign when no one's shit talking someone. But very good label, very good dude. Go check out TDR Records. You know, they're all over social media, tdrrecords.com, and you can go to their website, grab the new Yellowbird Mantra, their last record, and all that good stuff. You know where to find all this stuff, and also go find us. We're at Power Chord Hour on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Spotify. On each week on Spotify, I put playlists of what I play on the radio show, and yeah. So I mean, go find all of us if you know, if you like what you heard. And yeah, so that is going to be the episode. Also, don't forget, you can hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. I still got Power Chord Hour stickers and guitar picks to give away. So hit me up there if you would like one, powerchordhour@gmail.com. And yeah, that's about it. We will be back next week, I believe, with another guest. And, you know, this one I think is going to be in studio. So, you know, I'm so used to doing the phoners just because of where I live, you know, not really in a, well, that, and also, you know, we have Corona going on, but this will be, I'm thinking next week, if everything goes as planned, our guest will actually be in studio, and you know, I think it'll be fun, be a different kind of energy from a phoner, so I'm excited. But yeah, so for the Power Chord Hour, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.